This is the HONOR X8b and it's got a lot of things it wants to show off, but you guys know me, I love my cameras, and this one has a 108 megapixel shooter that's dying to be tested out. Hey guys, it's Vika and you're with the Modern Creatures. So today's video, as you may have guessed, is all about the HONOR X8b and its cameras, but let me make it clear that this isn't really a camera review, but more of me sharing my experience in using these cameras on a daily basis, and hopefully it'll help you figure out if this phone is for you. Or maybe you just want to see the performance of its cameras. Whatever goes. Let's just get this video rolling and start off with some specs.
The HONOR X8b is equipped with a triple camera setup featuring a 108 megapixel main camera. It's supported by a 5 megapixel wide and a 2 megapixel macro. Up front, we have a pretty impressive 50 megapixel shooter. There's no mention of stabilization on any of its lenses, and it is pretty evident when you're recording videos. You'll see later on. Speaking of video recording, the HONOR X8b's rear cameras max out at 1080p at 30 frames per second. This goes for its front-facing shooter as well.
Now that we've covered all those specs and numbers, you probably have a better idea on what you're getting with the HONOR X8b, at least camera-wise. But before we get into those sample photos and videos, and before I tell you my thoughts on their quality and stuff like that, let's take a quick camera tour so you know what you're getting feature-wise or all the modes that you're getting. And I will just open up the camera app right now, right here. So let's start with a very basic mode, the mode that all of us use on a daily basis, is photo modes. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I think the whole camera setup these days, they're pretty similar. So here we have your wide, which is a 0.6, and then a 1x your main camera, and a 2x, and then let's see how far it'll go digital zoom. So from 2x we can zoom all the way into 8x zoom. I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it, 8x. Up here we do have your usual tools. You have an AI assist, AI photography assistant. If you want better colors, if you want scene detection and stuff like that, turn that on, but I will keep it off for now just so I can see the actual photos without AI. Let's check out the settings real quick. Video resolution, we can only go up to 1080p for 16:9 at 30 FPS. That is the max. Yes, that is the maximum that we're getting. And then we have all the usual shooting tools. Anyway, so moving on, let's move on to the very first, which is aperture. So here, this is your usual aperture mode where you can set the aperture. So I don't use this much except for objects and maybe sometimes people, but if I want to have bokeh, I usually go for portrait mode. We'll check that out in a little bit. So after aperture mode, we do have night mode, up to 2x zoom, and then this is what I was saying, if you want portrait for people, if you want background blur for people, you're better off shooting in portrait mode versus aperture mode, because in portrait mode you do get beautification, which you may want if you're doing portraits, since portraits focus on the face. And then moving on, we have video, which is same as your photo mode. You have wide, and then you have the 1x zoom, and then up to 2x zoom. Again, this button up here should activate dual view. And there it is, dual view. So there, if you're a dual view shooter kind of person, I am sometimes. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Can you zoom in the selfie? You cannot, but you can zoom in and out with the rear cameras. And so apart from those most used modes, I would say we do have a couple of extras. I don't know if a lot of you even open this, but I do sometimes use the pro mode and slow-mo when the time calls for it. So again, like I said, there was nothing too out of the ordinary, but at least now you know what you're getting with the HONOR X8b, and it's about time for those camera samples, photo and video.
Higher megapixel counts are becoming more common these days. HONOR themselves even outed a 200 megapixel shooter just a few months back. While this series really isn't known for its cameras, you should be able to get some good snaps from this 108 megapixel shooter, provided you have light and lots of it. In the right conditions, its main camera can output vibrant and detailed images, though just a tad bit contrasty and saturated for my taste. Some softness and detail can be seen, however, especially indoors and in busier scenes. Outdoors, the main camera's digital zoom performs well too, capturing tiny details. I wouldn't rely on it too heavily though, as it does go through noticeable post-processing, which adds noise even in well-lit photos. Taking photos in low light does take a little bit more effort and patience, but you can get good snaps. I've found myself having to lower the exposure since the software tends to brighten it a little too much in post, especially when using night mode. In my time with the HONOR X8b, it's evident that the main camera really is the star. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide, though sometimes capable, is too inconsistent. More so that 2-megapixel macro lens that I don't think I ever used. Its selfie camera, however, performed quite well for what it is. I don't expect too much from front-facing cameras, but you've got a pretty great selfie shooter here, even in semi-adequate lighting. For video, as I said earlier, it's pretty evident that there's no stabilization on this phone, as even minor shakes and movements can be noticed. Not to down the quality, you can get good images. The video just happens to be shaky.
For its price, I think the camera performance pretty much fits the bill, and it'll probably please people whose only real agenda is to take those daily snaps and selfies and nothing more beyond that. I've found, however, that the strength of this phone, of the HONOR X8b, really lies in its all-roundedness. You can use it for work or productivity, it's pretty good at that. Some light gaming, some casual photography as we've just seen, and you can't deny that it has a really eye-catching design, especially in this leather back.
I honestly can't pinpoint where it's best at, but there are a couple of things it's pretty good at, and it's an overall decent device with a just as decent camera setup for its price.
You got that something that can't be seen. You got that one thing that's hard to come by. It's not your styling, it's not your jeans. No, what you got is deeper within, and you're